Hey guys, alright, so back on for a little experiment, and spoiler alert, there are a lot of mistakes in these videos. So I'm still going to post it just to show that, hey, not every experiment goes as planned, but that's part of working with resin. So I want to show you guys. So I got these Resin Studio molds actually at the Dollar Tree. Thought doesn't hurt to try them. I did buy 2 of each style just because I didn't want to have to try to create the same design in 2 different makes. Basically, I wanted to create both of the same style at the same time. Hope that makes sense. So I have 4 molds here, and I have my UV light from oh my goodness, Let's Resin. And then I have the UV resin from Counterculture. So just gonna fill a couple of these molds. Not all of them. Smart that I didn't, since where this ends up going. But I probably also bit off a little more than I should have, because I do 3 different ones here. And I'm going to show you kind of what happens. So I'm just filling the mold, not all the way, just a small thin layer within it, basically. So I just want to get a base layer of the UV resin in. And I apologize if you are hearing a commotion. It is my 2 doggos. They are wrestling, they are playing, and then you might hear them doing their little, they're now sneezing because they got all up in each other's faces, but they kind of do a growl at each other. They're totally playing though. Alright, so just trying to get enough resin to cover the bottom, basically. Then I wanted to try something. If you use too much alcohol ink in UV resin, you can actually end up thinning out the resin. So I wanted to use these spectrum dyes that I had just to see if it would work. Now I am using a silicone brush. This is a very soft tip silicone brush, just to spread the resin to the edges. I would not use anything sharp. It will ruin your mold and leave a mark, and then the next piece you do will have that same mark. So just spreading that resin around, especially in these thin ones. I wanted to make sure to shift any air pockets and bubbles, get that to move to the surface, get that resin to split up a little. So I got these spectrum dyes from Counterculture DIY, and they have tons of colors in it. So I just basically pulled out all the colors, and I've never used these before this video in particular, and I just thought I'm going to experiment with them and see if this is possible. It's not advertised on their site, so don't think that this was like an advertised thing and it failed. Nope, this is me just straight up experimenting. And that's part of the fun with UV resin. As I'm pulling them out of the box, I am shaking them a little because I wasn't sure which ones I would use, and I wanted to make sure they were mixed, just kind of like alcohol ink. So I chose some colors, decided which ones I wanted to use, and made sure I gave them an extra shake. And then they're very much like alcohol ink in the sense of they're in a similar bottle. When we open one up for the first time, it has a seal, because you'll see me try to squeeze it out and it doesn't come out. And I realized, oh, there's a seal. So I had to get a tack, actually. I had a tack over my space that I was able to find, and that's what I used to puncture the holes on these. So basically, bear with me while I grab that tack. There it is, a little thumbtack. Gonna puncture the hole. That will allow the dye to come down through. And you have to be careful. It's sometimes hard to get it lined up right, but I was able to do it. You just have to go slow and steady. And then I was wiping my tack off just because there was some of the dye on the tack and I knew I would need it to do other colors. I decided while I'm rolling with that, I better move forward and continue to go ahead and open a few of these since I was wanting to put a few different colors in this heart. And I didn't want to have to keep stopping to get the hole started. And I wasn't sure how they were going to react with the UV resin. So I thought I better go ahead and just do that so that I didn't have a weird thing happen. Didn't matter though, because as you'll see when we do this, it really just kind of stayed in place, which to me, I was like, oh, I like that, because now I can manipulate it in the way that I want to. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I'm just putting some random drops and just nothing any particular way. I wasn't going like with a particular thing or form. I just was wanting to add them sort of haphazardly and random in there. So I'm going to come back and add a couple more of the pink, or one more of the pink. And then I thought, okay, we have a white, kind of like alcohol ink. Might be good to add a little white in here just to help mix the colors or give them a mix. And you'll notice the droplets are moving to the center, which is what I would have expected. And I just thought I'll put a little bit of white in the dots just to have them sink a little bit more into the resin. And then that also was helping them go ahead and move to the center, which is what I would expect them to do. So far I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. Let's keep rolling. Let's choose some other colors at random. Get some other color coordinations going and see what I can create and come up with. So went ahead and opened them up. Like I said, there's several colors in here. A lot of fun. And I know that I'm going to find my niche with these. Just, like I said, spoiler, this has a fail for sure. So I had this earring. I went with that center mold. It's pretty skinny, so I thought, okay, it's not going to use a ton of resin. Thank goodness. I did that because, yep, I thought if I fail, then I'm not using a ton of resin. So I went with that middle one, and again, just adding a couple different colors here, a few drops. Nothing too wild. Pretty standard basic. Looking good. And as you see with the heart, it's definitely moving to the center and creating a unique formation, which is what I had envisioned in my mind. So that was all working good. Then with these ones, I thought, okay, let's just go random color pattern just sporadically around the entire earring, because these are an earring mold. So I was like, okay, but somewhat similar for each side, you know, getting the left and the right somewhat alike. So continuing on, just adding some different colors. It's hard to see the colors in this video, but they're definitely different colors. It's just, they're all kind of coming out dark in the video. You'll be able to see it more, though, as we go along. I hope, at least. Hope the video shows it a little better. So anyway, just like I said, kind of going in a somewhat pattern to match them up, but not having an exact thing in mind. This was not a well thought through process. But I'm glad I captured it just so that y'all can see that part of creating with resin is having, you know, these learning situations, shall we call them. And this one definitely was. So I decided I need a little bit lighter color going in here because, by golly, we got so dark. So I decided this beautiful golden yellow sunshiny color was a good one to do. So just add it, but I kind of lost where it needed to get added. Most of the resin was used up in that one, but I was able to get some still in. So they're looking pretty good. Pretty happy. Went ahead and grabbed my silicone brush and I'm going to just manipulate it a little bit. So I wanted to go around the heart. And then I just wanted to kind of go in the center, swirl it a little bit, give it just somewhat of a look. To mix the colors, but not overly mix them. I wanted them to have some bleeding together, but not too crazy. And so I made sure I dipped into the white there and really got it swirled in. Similar here, I just wanted to do kind of a curly, like, squiggle around the entire thing a couple times, just to make it go all the way around. And so same thing over here, going that way, just kind of looking at it across the way. Oh, I got my boy dog all upset because my girl dog was chewing on something, but she was just chewing on a toy. He was like, she's fine. She's not doing anything wrong. I thought she was. And then on these, I wanted to kind of do this like swirl where it's like very, I don't know, like mystically maybe is the word, but like just wispy. Kind of these wispy colors into the clear. So it just kind of gave a wispy look. That was my intention there. So it looks fantastic. I was super excited about this. Went ahead and I was building that on the tray that goes to this Let's Resin light. So I went ahead and decided we'll slide that right in. Now that one was hanging off, so I did go ahead and adjust it a little bit so that I could get them both in. And I also made sure my bottom lights on that were correct and on so that I could make sure that everybody got a cure and every, like, top to bottom kind of gets a cure. In the meantime, went ahead and put lids back on just so that I can, as I go, clean up my mess as I'm rolling. Granted, that one is not under the light. I will get it under the light. It just, there wasn't enough room. The tray is bigger than actually the curing space, so it's a little deceiving of what you have to work with. I probably need to like tape it off or something just so that I know where the edges are, but it's all good. So just looking at my colors, which they really illuminate in that LED lighting that just makes those neon ones really pretty. I didn't notice that in the moment, but it's cool in the video. It looks like they're glowing. I do not think they are glow dyes, but I would say that potentially under the right lighting, they would definitely have some glow ability to them. So it looks really good up to this point, looking great. No major issues to have had, and basically, you know, just letting that fully cure. I wanted to give it a good solid 2-3 minutes because where this is an experiment, I wasn't sure how it would go or what it would look like. So I definitely wanted to make sure that we gave it plenty of time to get cured up. So the ones come off, and I, of course, didn't get this in the screen, but I tested it here and with just my silicone, and I can tell these are not even remotely cure. Like, I mean, they're mushy, they're gross, is the best way I can say. I'm like, that's awful. So I decided y'all didn't have to wait for each cure time. But really, I did like 2-3 minutes, and still I could run my brush in and you can see how much dye is coming up on my brush. It was gross. And then I decided, well, I'm just going to take the paper towel and push it down on the dye. And sure enough, that paper towel was absorbing dye. It looks like a bloody hot mess, to be honest with y'all. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And I'm like, well, this is what I've done. And here we are. So what do I always say? Hey, mistakes happen. Everything's fixable. You just might have to get creative. So at this point, I'm like, what are we going to do? Can we save these? Can we get creative? So I'm like, I have to get a glove on because there's no way I can touch these without getting dye all over me. So it looks really cool, but oh my goodness, it's so bendy, and it was still transferring dye. Like I said, they look really awesome. Like, I love how those wispies turned out. Looked great. This heart is a little bit of a hot mess, but still really cool. Like, you know, like, okay, that's great. These, though, oh my goodness, look at all that dye. I'm going to laugh at myself. Like, look at all that dye that came off of there. I was like, I got this out. I just have to toss this. This is one of those that, y'all, I just was like, this is a hot mess. This got to go in the garbage. Those are the two wispy ones in the heart. I was like, I think I can maybe save them. But those two, there was no saving them. Look at all that dye. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was doing this, I'm doing the voiceover on it, but watching it back, I'm like, oh my goodness. So, yeah, that was a hot mess. So, as you can see, my lovely paper towel is covered in dye. Beautiful colors, but it's now all in my mold too. So, I just wanted to try to soak up as much as I could. So thankful I put gloves on. Definitely too much dye mixed with that resin. Thins it out. Way too much and makes it not cure whatsoever. I don't know if it's a combination of that it just is a spectrum dye and the light couldn't penetrate the UV resin or what. So here I'm just pouring some alcohol, rubbing alcohol on there. At this point, I'm wishing I had a drink of alcohol because this was such a hot mess. But I just poured rubbing alcohol on it, and I was using a bottle that doesn't have my good spout, so it just went kind of everywhere. And I was like, well, that's fitting for tonight. Like, why not? Let's just have another flub. Basically, then just taking the paper towel and just trying to clean up my molds so that I can trial again, maybe, shall we say. I did save those two wispy ones in the heart. I haven't done anything further with them. I will maybe at some point. I've actually let them sit here now for a little while. I'll see if they ever dry up enough that I could put another layer, or if I can get them cleaned up to put another layer and make them workable. But for now, I didn't toss them. But those two loops, and I'm so sorry, sounds like freaking chaos in here, and it's just the two dogs chasing each other over this toy. I stayed downstairs so that I'd have peace and quiet to record this, and then look what I get. So anyway, it's gonna be really funny if you guys can't hear it on the video, but whatever. Now you guys know my two dogs go crazy, especially in the evening time. They're riled up, ready to roll, and then they'll conk out as soon as we go up to bed. So these little loop ones were a pain to clean up. I didn't get them fully cleaned up, but definitely got them better than they were. Also, the great thing about that rubbing alcohol is it does allow you to wipe off your mat. I have that huge silicone mat on here by Counterculture DIY, which has been phenomenal for my space. It works wonderful, and it's great, makes easy cleanup when working with resin. So again, just trying to get in all the grooves and cracks on this one, trying to clean up as much of that dye and resin that I had in there and not leave it gross. Granted, because I got these at the dollar store, I could just go and buy another one, but I'm determined to not waste it. So I proceeded. All right. So that was, yeah, a nice little fun project that did not go oh so well. That was a little bit of a hot mess for sure. So clean those up as best as I can. And then, like I said, just flipped them over because there was some dye on the back, cleaning off my tray that I have there for the light. And then we're going to try for round 2. So, bye for that one. Now round 2. Coming back. See? Trying round 2. Let's see if we can do anything any better. Just to see if we can recover from this hot mess of a video. So I decided 4 different molds. Not the wisest. Let's go with just these 2 so that I can just try something simple, something easy, not be overly adventurous. Look. So I put the UV resin into the mold first, just like before. And then I put a little dot of UV resin into my little silicone cup. And I'm putting 1 drop, no more, of the Spectrum dye. Take my silicone brush, mix that together. And basically, I'm getting a really dark purple out of it. But then I'm just going to take it and I'm going to be like a painter. And I'm going to paint some swirls. I'm not doing anything special or particular. Just doing some wispies. Again, that was my whole point with this, was to go through and have some wisps and just a very dainty play look of colors, basically. So I need a little bit more resin in my thing, and I wanted to do a little different color. So I went ahead and did a little blue. And I put it in a little different spot of my cup so that I wasn't mixing with the purple I already had. This blue I hadn't used yet, so I had to break that seal there with my tack. So then, like I said, it's in a little different spot of the cup. It's a little hard to see. It's right on the edge of the video. And then I mix it with my silicone brush, and then I'm going to basically just get enough on to do some more wisps, little swirls, just kind of gentle mix in. Let's see kind of what happens if we mix it in opposed to dropping it in. Maybe it's just too much dye for ratio with the resin. Maybe that's why it did what it did, is my theory. So then there was a bubble there. You can't see it on the camera, but I know that there was some bubbles that were popping up. So I wanted to make sure I moved them up. Looks beautiful. I love those 2 colors together. Looks really nice. Get my lighter out here, and I am going to just quickly go over it just like I've done a zillion times with other pieces, just to pop some bubbles, because I kept seeing them kind of form, likely because I was moving the resin around and adding that dye in. It was creating air pockets. So under the light for another 2 minutes here for this one, and we'll see what happens for it and see how it turns out. If mixing, just literally you saw 2 drops of that dye is all I did in this one, whereas what I think those other ones that I salvaged over there to the side in this video had 4 drops of dye in them. The heart, I couldn't tell you how many, had several drops of dye, I will say. I'm trying to think in my head about how many, but I honestly don't know. I want to say maybe 4, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10, like maybe 10, and then we added white to all of them. So maybe it ended up with like 20. Eek. Yeah. Anyway, so just thought maybe it would be better if I mixed it, and that would give it, and because I used so little, that would give it a better opportunity for success. So waiting for this light to go ahead and turn off for us so that we can check and see if this is going to work or if we are going to have fail number 2. So I'm leaving you guys hanging because I want the video to show you guys more in actual time. No spoilers on this one of what happens. I will tell you it did not turn out like the ones that I had to throw straight out. Okay? Those were an inky, crazy mess. I think I must have put this in for 3 or 5 minutes. I can't remember. Because I recorded this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago maybe. And I was so disappointed by it in general that it just, honestly, I don't recall. So I went ahead and pulled it out of the light, taking my silicone brush, lost my train of thought, that silicone brush, just testing it to see if it is cured, and nope, it is not. It is a mess again. Did not work. Did not help by spreading it out. So glove comes on. Luckily, only did one this time. How cool it does look. I love the look, but it is full of dye still. So that dye, you can see, just transfers. Now, that one is not as bad as the others, but it's still, and it creates like a divot or an indentation where that dye is in the resin. It's really bizarre. And I can't tell you anything other than that's what it does. It's just this weird thing where it like indents the resin, but it doesn't connect to the resin. So I wanted to just clean that dye out of my silicone cup. No need to try to cure it because it's not going to cure. It's just going to be dye. So just wipe that out with paper towel and a little bit of rubbing alcohol if it didn't come out, but it came out pretty smoothly. So that is a 2-part failure, really, with a few different projects, but only 2 different ways, 2 parts, and definitely did not succeed. So that's okay. That's part of resin. Oh, I did do one more. I apologize. I thought, you know what? I'm going to leave this on a positive note and see if this video was recorded. Too long ago, I forgot that I had done this part too. So I thought, okay, maybe we get a win here. I'm going to try this way. And still, this vision that I want. I wanted this envision, and so that's what I was going with. So these are actual alcohol inks, and you can see they actually spread. They move very quickly. They are very liquidy. They don't stay like the Spectrum dyes. And each have their place. So that's why I was like, oh, I want to try something a little different. So I'm going to try the alcohol ink both ways too, just to see if we can get any success either way. So I put 2 drops of resin in there so that I could mix my alcohol inks separate, so that I could do little wispies, little swirls in here. Of course, it's a little bit off camera. It was a like impromptu to try to make this work. And so forth. So definitely just doing some little wispies. This is adding the alcohol ink to a little drop of resin and swirling it into our resin in the piece. Then this one, we dropped the alcohol ink directly into the resin and just manipulate it very little, just to have it spread into one another. UV light on. This one I did probably for 2 or 3 minutes just to see. Why not? Let's get a comparison. Does this work? Will this work? Will this give me what I want? I don't know. So we basically let that cure up and we will see the results. As you saw, I didn't even take my glove off because I was like, here we go. It's just one of those things. This is part of resin. You got to have fun with it. You got to try something. And hey, what did I lose? A little bit of material and a little bit of time. And I still had fun, though I was disappointed. I won't lie. I was really bummed about it. But you win some and you lose some. And I've been very fortunate. I've won quite a few. It was time for me to lose one. So, a double loss so far. Let's see how this one goes, though. Should be coming out of there pretty soon from the light. So, and I apologize. I'm drinking a lot more water, so I'm going to take a moment, take a sip of water. I am trying to be better about drinking my water. So talking for 30 minutes straight, I definitely needed some. So, all right. Should be coming out here any moment, I think. And when I do these in real time, when I'm doing the recording of the video and my voice at the same time, I am the same way. I'm so impatient for this light to be done. So even with me doing the voiceover, I am impatient. Like, light, hurry up, let's be done. Has it not been 2 minutes, y'all? Come on. I'm going to need to come up with some coffee jokes or something. Jokes in between while I'm waiting. All right. Light off. Now we can pull this out and look. This is the one where I put it straight in to the resin. Definitely getting some ink onto my paper towel. So, boo. Didn't work. Looks pretty. Again, if I can get it cleaned up and dried enough, then put a seal on the back would be good. But I do not want to seal it while it's wet, so I just left these basically. Looks cool, but if I were to put resin straight on the back of that, you're going to seal in moisture, and that's going to be no good for anybody. So round 2, mixing it with a little bit of resin and then doing our swirls and seeing if I get any ink onto the paper towel, which I did. And of course I'm out of screen, but definitely was getting a little bit off of it. This one came out really funky just because I didn't get the mold in very well. So I would count that as a fail too. Was not a good combination. So I decided I have a little rubbing alcohol in the spray bottle. Let's try to clean up my molds just to make them better, because you can see that one got really dyed with the alcohol ink on it. So yeah, not the way I wanted that tutorial to go, but I am going to make the best of it and share my tips and tricks with y'all. Hopefully you learned something. You learned that it's great to experiment and it's okay to have some not wins. And I will take the same advice. I'll take my own advice. I'm good at giving advice, just not well of giving it to myself. So I will take that advice, and we will be back again soon with hopefully a win and something fun. So hope everyone's doing well, and I look forward to doing some more tutorials for y'all again soon. If you have any questions, hit me up either on YouTube or my socials, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And like I said, see you again here shortly. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye.